Hey guys, it's Gonzo. I did a little bit of a tease in my last Loot Crate video, and today I wanted to talk about some comics, primarily Star Wars. Now, Marvel Comics is officially owned by Disney, has been since 2009 now, and starting in 2015, Marvel will start to produce the new Star Wars comics. Since the early 90s, Dark Horse Comics has been producing them, and they've come out with some really great stuff over the years. Some of them have been kind of but there have been some awesome things. And what I wanted to do today was talk about some of the stuff that I've been reading that I personally enjoy. First of all, is Knights of the Old Republic. Now, if you are a fan of the Bioware games, you're going to really like this. It takes place approximately 4,000 years before the Battle of Yavin, which is the ending finale for Star Wars A New Hope. And it follows the story of Zane Carrick, a young Padawan who is accused of killing all of his fellow Padawans. And it's him trying to clear his name. So far, it has been an excellent book. There are approximately 51 issues for this. This is the first of three omnibuses. I'm on volume 2 now, and volume 3 is due out in May. They average about $25 a book, but you're looking at about 17, 18 issues. So this is a hell of a deal. And it's a great book, and there are some appearances and references from people in the game. So if you're a big BioWare game fan, you're going to definitely love the stuff they do in this. The second one is one of the more recent books, which is Star Wars. Now, this is the first trade of the book done by Brian Wood. It takes place about 2 months after the Battle of Yavin, and there's 20 issues that we know of so far. And this is truly the rebellion. They're doing guerrilla warfare style tactics. It's right after the end of A New Hope, and it's a young girl finally running the rebellion and doing things. So it's really interesting. The art in it is gorgeous. You can actually pick up the first issue if you go to your local comic shop for $1 just to try it out. Great read, highly recommend it. This is one of those books that we don't know what's going to happen with it once Disney takes over and it goes to Marvel. So pick this up while you can. The first book is out. They average about $20 a book. Volume 2 is due out in April. So great read. The third one is kind of an oldie. This is one of Dark Horse's first series. It was originally going to be done by Marvel, but then Dark Horse got the rights for it. It's called Dark Empire. This is actually the deluxe giant hardcover. It's got the entire trilogy to it. It's approximately 18 issues. This goes for about $30, but it is an amazing story. It takes place right about 10 years after the Battle of Yavin, 10 months, 10 years after the Battle of Yavin, because it's post-Jedi. And easiest way to sum it up, 3 words: Return of Palpatine. Great series. This is what happens when Luke gets dangerously close to the dark side. And the art on it, some people are kind of abrasive to it. Personally, I enjoy it. So it's a great read. Then there are 2 books that are left. Now, the only one that's ongoing that I've mentioned is Star Wars by Brian Wood. And to go on the other end of the spectrum, because we've gotten before the Battle of Yavin, right after, and now we're looking at 137 years later with Star Wars Legacy. Now, Legacy is the story of Cade Skywalker, a descendant of Luke, way in the future. And there's a lot of really good stuff in this. It's probably one of the best things with the extended universe that I've ever read. Now, this one did finish up in 2011. It ended up with around 56 issues. Again, this is the hardcovers. These are actually about $35 a pop, but again, 18 issues per book, paying about $2 a book, and it's great. It's so good so far. And they actually did a sequel series, which is ongoing right now, called Legacy 2. This one takes place about a year after Legacy 1, which I haven't finished yet. With Legacy 1, The 2 hardcovers are out so far. The 3rd one is due out in February, so I can't wait to finish up that one. With Legacy 2, whereas Legacy 1 had to do with a Skywalker, this one has to do with Anya Solo. So we get both sides of the family. And right now it is slated for only 18 issues. Volume 1, like I said, is out. Volume 2 is due out in May, and Volume 3 is slated for July, August. And this will end up at 18 to finish up right before Disney takes the rights. So I have not read this one yet. I've heard that if you love Legacy 1, you're going to love Legacy 2. And then finally, the one that I've been waiting on, God, it's probably the last 20 or so years. One of the biggest announcements that Dark Horse did last year, got a lot of media attention, was this. The Star Wars. Now this is very different. Extremely different. It's an adaptation of the original 1974 rough draft screenplay. So this is not the Star Wars you are used to. It's Anakin Starkiller finding General Luke Skywalker, fighting against Darth Vader, and everything you've ever heard about. About the young 14-year-old Princess Leia, about Chewbacca being, big and green and hairy and all that stuff. It's true. I mean, this is the book that does that. And so far, it is everything you can imagine it to be. The artwork is gorgeous. The adaptation for it has been great so far. It is more political than action-oriented. So if you don't want to deal with the politics of the Republic versus the Empire, this might not be the book for you. But if you want to see something completely different than what could have been, I cannot recommend The Star Wars enough. Now, it is 8 issues with an issue 0. It's kind of like a guide. They just released that in January 2014. And there's going to be 2 collections. There's a trade paperback softcover and a giant hardcover. Both of them are due out in July. So we'll get those trades right before Marvel takes the rights over. Now, the reason why I've done this is because there are a lot of great Star Wars books that could potentially be thrown out of print and not being able to be sold once Marvel takes the rights. So there are a ton of trades and collections that if you're going to get into them or if you want to finish them off, now is the time. Because nobody really knows what Marvel's going to do. They could continue Legacy, they could continue the Brian Wood book, they could cancel everything and make it so that everything we have seen over the years, all the novels, all the comics, everything, that none of it matters, and they're going to start from scratch because they own Lucasfilms, so they can do what they want. So go ahead, take advantage now, get as much as you can if you love Star Wars and you love the comics. Some really great reads out there. Some of the other stuff I didn't mention was the Shadows of the Empire comic, Mara Jade, Hand of the Emperor. That's a great read. The Attacking Big stuff, it's still in print. It's great. There's a lot of really good books out there. So get your local comic shop. Hell, hit up Amazon if you need to, because you can get some of the books really cheaper than the cover price. But get yourself some Star Wars books. Enjoy, and you guys have a good one.